Okay, well, good
I
morning,
think we're
everybody.
here.
Peggy, you're like
Am I here?
poking
Am I
out
here?
of these wonderful layouts. Look what we've got for you
We
today
got
here at
layouts
Memory
today.
Bound. It's a Peggy day, and when we
Yeah.
say a Peggy day, I know a lot of you are like, "Yay, yay for Peggy Day!"
Mm-hmm.
And we've got lots of layouts to
Yeah.
show. Welcome to Memory Bound Papercraft Store in
Mm-hmm.
Ankeny, Iowa. And I'm Kelly, and Peggy's
And I'm
here, like we
Peggy.
just said.
Yep. Yep.
And we've got Janet in the background.
Yay,
So she'll
Janet. I
she'll
think I
be
like her.
linking and answering any questions that we
Yeah.
miss, which is
And
really
she is
easy to
so,
do.
so good at that. We are
Yeah,
so lucky to have her.
we
So, so lucky.
we definitely are.
Mm-hmm.
So, hello, Janet says, "Happy Thursday, crafty
Yeah.
friends."
Yeah. Happy fall.
That's
Happy
right, first
fall.
week of fall. So
First week
this
of
is
fall.
perfect,
Mm-hmm.
and fall is on sale.
Yes, it is.
That's our
Mm-hmm.
weekly special.
Yep.
Is 30% off of our fall
Yep. Fall
merchandise.
themes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So that is even good. And now people are coming aboard.
Yay.
Like
Good
Darlene's
morning, good
here.
morning, good morning.
Oh, Janie
Mm-hmm.
says, "Good morning, my friends." Isn't that
Oh,
just
Janie, good
sweet? I love you
morning. We
guys.
love being
And
with
there's
you guys every
Angie.
morning. We really look forward to it.
And today
Mm-hmm.
is going to be special, especially
Yeah,
for our scrapbooker
yeah.
people. We get a
Mm-hmm.
lot of requests for layouts, and we're lucky that we've got
Yep.
Peggy here on our staff because that's really your specialty. Although
It is. It's what I love to do. And,
you had a
you know,
cool mini album
I do like
last
to
week,
do mini
though.
albums every
So
so
last
often
week,
just to give me different size.
yeah, check out
Mm-hmm.
her slide album from,
Yeah.
wasn't that last week?
Yeah, last week from Ghosts
So
and Goblins,
Ghosts and
Echo and
Goblins, and now
Park.
we're into fall.
Yeah.
Well, Peggy, why don't
Autumn
you
junk.
tell us a little bit about what we're going to do today as people are joining
Well,
us?
let me grab this real quick. A
And
few
I can
weeks
adjust the
ago,
camera if we need to.
when the Creative Scrapper magazine came out, Diane was looking through it and she came up to me and she showed me this layout. It's on page 27. So if you have the magazine, page 27, but it is this layout right here.
And if
Bring
you
it
don't have
closer.
the magazine, is
We
it the
do have
bottom
some,
one?
yep, the bottom one there. And it has die cut leaves that are stitched. And so she brought that
Yay,
to me and she
Diane,
said,
for
"What do you think you can do with that?" And I thought, well, I can
watch
stitch
me.
and and I'll just find some leaves that I like. And so we kind of went around the store and we came across the Tim Holtz media
Peggy, I
pack.
wanted to say hold my beer.
Hold my beer. I can do that too, as long as there's two and I can drink one. But the stamp stencil set from Tim Holtz, and this is set 151, and it has the nice
Let me pull it up
blueprint.
closer. Oh,
Yeah,
turn, or let's flip it
turn it that
around to
way.
the back.
It
You can
has the
see it
nice
better. I'll get
blueprint.
in it
Oh,
closer.
this side, the blueprint, leaves on there, and um, I I saw these. I like the size of it. I like the fact that there's a stencil in the package that I could utilize, along with the word phrases too. I like that, but I really liked the blueprint
I love the
leaves
blueprint
on
stuff.
here. I like the size. I thought they would be really good to use on a layout, and I knew if I cut them, if I stamped them, I could fussy cut them because they weren't all that detailed for fussy cuts. So I knew that I could do that, and I thought, well, that's just going to be fun. I can do that, and and stitch in there too. So I was really happy when Diane brought that to me. And again, page 27,
So get your
Creative
magazine.
Scrapper
We do have the
magazine.
magazines
Yes,
available, and Janet can link it.
and that
They're
was what the inspiration came
12.99, and
from.
I think there's 144
Yeah.
pages. And Peggy
Great
Val
layouts in
says
there.
it's
Wonderful.
Happy National Daughter's Day.
Oh, well, I guess I
So
need to talk to my
I
daughter
think I'm going
today
to
then,
send my
right?
daughter a message
Yeah.
also.
I just had a few hours with her yesterday,
Well,
so
we're
that
going to
was
see your
kind of
daughter
nice.
in some pictures,
You
maybe,
are
or at
going to
least her
see her in a
kids.
couple of them. You're going to see the kids. You're going to see her too. So yeah,
Mary
she's
says
in
she
there
always
too.
loves a Peggy Day.
Well, Mary, thank you so much. I love being here too. I like talking with all of our crafty friends.
And
So
Janet did link the magazine. I think we
okay.
have about a dozen
Yeah,
copies
we
left of
have a
that
few on the
issue.
counter. Yep.
And there's a lot
There
in
are a
there.
lot of layouts and there are a lot of neat things in there. So yeah, take a moment to look through it. It's a good one. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to use Autumn Junk, which by Photoplay is the paper line that we're using today. And I know that a lot of people have had it because when I was in shipping the other day, there was a lot of it going out.
And it is on
So
sale.
yeah,
It's
it's on sale,
30% off.
30%
So
off. So you get each of the papers in here, I think one, two, three, four, 6 different papers, and you get 2 of each. And that's just wonderful. And this great sticker sheet as well. And I'll tell you, there's um, the 12 sheets of paper that you get in here. I did these 4 layouts and I still have paper left. So really a great value
and
there.
Peggy, I want to
Mhm.
mention that yesterday was also a junk day.
Yes,
Katie
it
was here with
was.
Halloween
Halloween
junk
junk.
and she made
Uh-huh.
that accordion album.
Yeah.
And we do have kits
Mhm.
available for
Mhm.
that. So if you
Yeah.
want to
And that was
partake
so
in that, you
adorable.
sure can.
I really loved how, I mean, that Halloween junk is a great line. I loved how she used the Crafty Garden frames in the, cut some apart, layer some.
Yep, she
I
was
never
very
thought
creative
to
with it.
use like the inside of the frames as a photo mat. I thought that was a great idea. I thought that was just very creative. We're also using the stamp set
I'm going
from,
to change the camera so
okay,
that people can see the things a little better.
okay, all right. So you can
Oops, yeah, let's
move
bring
that over.
I'll bring it back
Okay,
over to
yep,
you.
okay. So yeah, so we're also using the stamp set a little bit. You'll see this in there too. So these 2 stamp sets, a little bit of ink if you don't have your mini oxides. Gotta love those.
Oh, yeah.
Really, guys, this
Isn't
is
it fun to
it
have
is.
them in a thing?
I I didn't really use oxides very much, and then the minis came out, and I thought, oh, I need to try these just to see the difference. And you guys, when I show you the leaves, you're gonna love them. They're just so much fun. Watercolored the leaves, they just turned out beautifully. Um, so that's what we're doing today. So did we want to show any product
I
today?
think we're going
Okay,
to
we're
jump
just
right
going to
into
do into
this.
this.
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, well, we're going to do this. I'm going to just kind of quickly go through the different papers and then start in on the layout. So again, our fall themes are 30% off today or this week, and that includes the autumn junk. That would
I
include the
know. Isn't
autumn
that a
junk
bonus?
stamp set. Um, I
All the
mean, so many, yeah,
paper.
all the paper. You can get the paper in the collection kit. You can get it individually too. So
It's beautiful. We
it's
like all the
wonderful. I
junk.
love it. The junk is just a wonderful line. I'm so glad that Photoplay came out with it. I think all of them have been wonderful from, just the initial junk one to,
I know we love our
oh
junk,
gosh,
don't
we
we,
do.
Katie?
We do.
Or
Hmm.
Peggy. I said
And
Katie. I
I
don't know
mean, we
why.
use it layouts. I mean, use it on that mini. I'm using it in junk journal sheet. It's so versatile. Love it. So anyhow, this is, one of the papers in the collection, which I mean, really highlights all the colors that are in it and just so
That's
beautiful.
probably my favorite of all the
It's
paper.
gorgeous. I love all the colors. And you turn that over, and you just have a nice solid brown, which is kind of nice. A solid that's not quite a solid, so really nice there. A tag sheet. I love this tag sheet, and I also love that it has these strips down at the bottom. I think Katie kind of highlighted that yesterday when she was showing um, her album, the sheet that had the strips and things like that, and how you could cut those apart and use those too. And then this wonderful stripe on the back. You're going to see this stripe on every layout because this was my very favorite. I always
That's
say a
nice
good collection
too.
has a good stripe
Yeah.
to it. So
And I
that was
like the
nice.
diagonal better
Mhm.
than a straight stripe.
I do too. I do too, because it just gives it a little more visual interest, I think. And this paper, I think, is just gorgeous. I love the damask over here and this line of leaves. And you'll see I kind of used it in a different way on one of the layouts too. So I'll show you how to do that. And then this beautiful plaid that goes with it, which I think is just lovely. And I really like the side of it too. So that's a nice
We
paper.
like it all, don't we,
We
Peggy?
love it all. And the cut aparts are wonderful too. You'll see that I have used some of these cut aparts in place of titles on my layouts, and they work out great that way. And you'll see these right up here are used in kind of an interesting way on one of the layouts. Um, it's just wonder. I mean, like for a journal box here, and I've cut out like cozy season vibes off of that one, to use on a layout too. So this is really one I used a lot of. I cut into, and it has a beautiful brown background with the nice florals, nice and soft on that. I think this would make a nice little heritage kind of page. And then this one is really lovely too. I like all the definition so it looks kind of like a dictionary page. This is a great one, that you can cut different pieces out of. And I think that's great, from the stripe to the dictionary to the journal box to, down the side here. This is a great little fussy cutting, kind of paper too. And then it has a really pretty, that deep
Kind of a
autumn
viney,
red,
yeah, kind of.
vine in there and, a little bit of words in there too. So you'll see all of these papers that I've used, 1, 2,
Peggy's good
3.
at using product.
So you'll see all of
That's why
these
your
in here,
layouts are always
yeah.
so amazing, Peggy.
So yes, you're gonna see all of those papers in one form or another along the way today. So we're gonna get started and I'm gonna start with the layout that I did first. So this is the first layout that I did. And let me grab those 2 papers too. So the stripe and that floral are ones I told you I was going to use. I was going to show you. I kind of use that in a different way, and let me show you how I did that. And I just used an orange cardstock as my base, and then I kind of cut down my papers, and you'll see that this paper, I didn't use the whole thing. I actually moved it over a couple of inches and trimmed a couple of inches off this side. And that way you have this, to use on another layout if you want. But I didn't I didn't have the pictures to fill like the whole thing, and I wanted to incorporate, some other paper with it too. I wanted not just this paper, but I wanted to add something else. And I had already fallen in love with the stripe, so I knew I wanted to use the stripe. So by moving this over a little bit, cutting, a few inches off, I still have this beautiful stripe that is showing off here. I have this area here that I could, journal in or, put something else in there. And then I've kind of
Peggy, that's
shortened up
amazing. That is so
the
amazing.
area that I have to fill with pictures. And so if you only have 1 or 2 pictures that you want to use, especially like the picture that I've used on this layout is, a professional photo. And so I wanted to use this because I only wanted to use this one because I just loved it because I just thought it really showed my
The
daughter and her
paper does the
family.
layout for
Yeah,
you with the
it really
leafy
does. You don't
border
have to
there.
do anything else. And so then, again, these strips down along here, I've used a couple of those. I use that darker one right along here. It says my favorite time of year, there's beauty everywhere. My favorite time of year, there's beauty everywhere. I thought that was just, a nice little way to define the stripe from the leaf from the branch. I thought that was a nice little definition there. This came from the cut apart sheet, and I just kind of roughed up the edges on this one a little bit, just just for texture, and then inked around there. This piece right here, thankful for this moment, I thought went up there really nicely. Again, it's, cut from right here, thankful for this moment. I didn't use the sew, I just put thankful for this moment because if I had the sew on there, it would have been too long. From the sticker sheet, these are a few die cut leaves that I use. That's from a Echo Park die that I had used. And I just kind of put that in there just for a little bit of extra. But the leaves down here, these are, the area that I wanted to highlight. I used, I think, set number 1, no, set number 2 from the oxides. I used that to watercolor the leaves, and I'm going to show you at the end of the video how to do that. But I watercolored the leaves. I stamped the leaves, so I would stamp them first, and then I watercolor them, then I fussy cut them. I put them on my layout, and then I stitched them, and you can kind of see my stitching lines on there. I'll
Yeah,
raise
pull
that
up,
up a
yeah,
little
pull up
bit.
close to see
So you
that.
can see the stitching lines on
That's
there.
so cool.
And I used a variegated thread so that I could get kind of a darker and a more
Oh,
yellow part. I had a variegated thread that I'd been wanting to use, and I thought, oh, this is really going to go really
that's
nicely on that. So I
perfect.
did that. The other thing I did is I used my pumice stone um, uh, distress ink, and I used the stencil. So the stencil that comes with this kit, let me just pull mine out here. I think I brought it.
That's a
Um,
good stencil.
the stencil that comes with the kit, let's see, maybe I didn't, yes, I did. That comes with that stamp set has been well loved at my house. Let me tell you, I have loved it quite a lot um, because I kind of really enjoy stencils, and so I use the pumice ink or the pumice stone ink on here,
It's
and
very
you can see
light.
that it really goes with the damask on here. It just really gives it that tone on there. And you can see a little bit like right here, right through here, you can see, and I just wanted really very light to go on there. And I used just, my stencil
That's a really good
on there.
stencil. I've
It
been
is.
using a different stencil and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, and I have
Yeah.
those dots in the full size.
Mm-hmm. And I just thought, you just lay it down and you kind of, go over it with your ink and, want to, a blending tool. And it's so easy to use. You just kind of move it to where you want it and put it on
It's
there.
fun. I think
And
it's
it just
fun.
blended right in. And I think that's just a wonderful thing about that stencil. So you'll see that I've used the stencil quite a bit. And then I also used the stamp set um, from this collection. You can see my little leaves up here that I kind of stamped again in the pumice stone. I don't know that
Oh,
it's real obvious, but I wanted it to be very
there they
soft.
are.
I didn't really want them to be, standing out a lot. And then down here it says grateful and blessed that I use the stamp.
So it's just kind of a
Hmm.
background.
Yeah, and then family time also from the stamp set, and I believe I used the spice marmalade on that because I just thought, that orange is going to go really well with everything else on here.
And that set is
Hmm.
from Autumn Junk. So that is
Yes.
the, shall we
Hmm.
say, official stamp set
Yeah,
from the
that's the official
collection.
stamp set for the collection. So that it came from
And
Autumn
I'm
Junk.
impressed how you did
Hmm.
that. I'm going to do
Yeah.
that, Peggy.
So again, I just moved this over. I put, a little bit of the stripe and then I used, the strip from the cut apart to kind of run down between the two just to give, definition between the two. And then I use this, little box right here kind of as an area just to, add a little bit more current status thriving. And then the title lovely and the butterfly both came from the sticker sheet. So did these little banners. I thought it needed just a little bit more. And then this little banner right here is actually from the uh, stamp set there too. So you can kind of see a little
Donna
bit
says
there.
your daughter
Hmm.
is a mini me.
She kind of is. If you ever meet her and listen to her,
Personality also.
oh,
Does she have the same voice? You guys sound
no,
alike?
not quite, not quite,
Okay.
but she has a lot of the same personality I do, and I'm so sorry about that. So, but
Apologize
yeah,
to her
she's
husband.
she's just she she's a funny one. She's a funny one, and I think she's passed that on to the boys too. That they are both pretty tongue in cheek funny. So, but I think we all think that
Hmm.
um, of our grandkids. So then I used Nouveau drops, and I can't tell you exactly what color I used on those. I kind of forgot that, but I used some Nouveau drops just to kind of highlight that. I think Kelly's going to see if she can go match
Yeah.
us up for that. So that's what I used to kind of highlight that. I had the Nouveau drops that I hadn't used for a while. And I thought, well, I need to use those. Um, so they matched up really well. I like that kind of off-white, to go on that damask paper too. It's just really very pretty. So there is layout number 1. So we'll move on to layout number 2. And I think I'm going to go to this one right here. No, I'm going to change just a second. Let me reach across the table and grab another one. So this was actually the last one that I had done of the bunch. Um, and I really enjoyed how it turned out. I had colored the leaves on here. Oh, okay.
Well, I'm not sure if I found the
Mm-hmm.
exact ones. I've got a
I think that's
couple.
a pretty good one. The malted milk, I think, is
There's an
very.
orange
The orange is right.
and there's
The
a green.
ripened pumpkin and the malted milk were probably the two that I used on that first layout. But this
Check
green is
check
going to
that
go
out.
just so pretty too, with all of these layouts, with all of this paper. I mean, it's gorgeous. If I get that stripe paper out again, you're going to see just how pretty all of these are going to go right up against that. And then Kelly also brought over the liquid pearls. And what color are these? In red geranium. And look at that. Ooh, how pretty is that with that? Oh, great. Red geranium, malted milk, ripened pumpkin, and bottle green. All of those are going to go wonderfully with all of these layouts. So if you like your Nouveau drops, if you like your drops at all, those are going to be great to go on there. So, Okay, we'll go back to this one. I'm gonna keep this out here with me. So on this layout, I used set number 6 to color my leaves. The pumpkins and the smaller leaves came from the set from Photo Play. And then again, you know, the leaves here are from the Tim Holtz one, but I got set number 6. I really like that antique linen, and then I just added, you know, a little bit of the browns in there, and then I threw a little bit of green in there too. I really like the rustic wilderness. You can kind of see a little bit of green throughout here because one day I was outside and I was just kind of looking at some leaves and some of the leaves that were turning, and I noticed that they had green in the middle of them. And I thought, well, if I'm going to watercolor these, I'm going to add a little bit of green to them too because that's what's showing in nature. I thought, oh, I have to do that. So on this one, I knew I wanted to kind of create a border with the leaves, kind of make that up and use a cut apart as my title. So the autumn's leaves and pumpkin please. And then I wanted to kind of imitate, you know, this background on this cut apart over on this part. So what I then did was I took my antique linen. Let me pull it out of my little box here. My antique linen oxide, and I just put just a little bit on my block, and then I just used my little mister and kind of wet it down a little bit, and then I just kind of put it on there just to give myself a little bit of a background. You
Oh,
can
you
kind of
did that in
see
addition to
here,
the
yeah.
stenciling? Okay.
And then I stenciled over the top of it with brush corduroy because you know me, I always have brush corduroy
Do
laying
you
on
have
my
one
desk.
here
I
or
don't have brush corduroy with. Yes, I do. I have one.
okay, I'm gonna
So I always have brush corduroy laying on my desk because it is my go-to brown that I use when I shade anything. And so I use that stencil again, you know, again with the dotted part, and I just kind of laid it down, you know, a little bit here and a little bit there, and did that. And then I took the walnut stain oxide and I stamped the gratitude on here. That again is from the Photo Play stamp set. You'll see that I used a lot of these stamps. They're just really nice to use. And then the Happy Fall came from the Tim Holtz one. So that came from this set. So Happy Fall down there that I put down there. But I went ahead and I watercolored the leaves, the big leaves, and then I watercolored the pumpkins. And I love how the pumpkins showed up. And I think you can really see the difference between ink and oxide, especially on the pumpkins, where they do look just a little more chalkier than they would have if I had done the ink. And I think I really like that. It's a little more opaque, a little chalkier. I just really thought that was pretty. So I got, you know, this part done, and then I, you know, from the strips again right here, I just cut, you know, two of them together and then toward the edges and inked that. And I just kind of like that the definitions that were on there because it kind of went with the gratitude. So it kind of tied all that together, and the colors were all really pretty and nice. This is from the sticker sheet. I just thought it needs a little bit extra right over on the edge. So I wanted to add that. And then I got to this side. I'm thinking, well, what am I going to do on this side? I just kind of need a big photo block of paper. And with, you know, the autumn leaves and pumpkin please, it doesn't really, you know, it's not real specific to any one event or anything like that. And I thought, well, what if I just use uh, collaboration of a lot of different fall photos of the little boys, because I have a lot of fall photos that are maybe, you know, one-off photos that um, you know, I could use those all together, and they're just kind of some of my favorite photos of the boys because they just look so darn cute, you know. And they're all in the fall, like, you know, Max holding that red leaf, and I thought that just went really nicely with, you know, the red tones in the photos, and you know, Brazen in the pile of leaves there. I
and we
thought,
have a
you know, he
question
looks
also.
okay. Mhm.
They want to know if you use watercolor
I did
paper.
not. I just used regular cardstock
Okay.
is what I used, and it just it worked out well.
And then
Um,
we also
mhm.
somebody wants to see the whole page, but
Okay.
I think we
I
can
think
see
the
it.
whole thing is on
So
there
I'm
right
not
now. I might have had it a little too low.
oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So we got it now.
So I think I have it. If you can't
Okay.
see the whole page, just let us know if you can't, and I'll kind of shift it around. But I think I've got the whole page in there now.
And Donna says you've taught her so much.
Oh
And
well, Donna,
I think
thank
all of
you,
us have
thank
learned
you.
a lot from
Hmm.
Peggy.
Well, and on this, as I thought, well, I need, just kind of a photo block. I decided I wanted to kind of separate it out a little bit too, and I just kind of wanted to run, some of this brown through here. So I thought, well, I'm going to use some of the brown that I have as the basis for the photo mat, and then I'm going to add some pictures to it. And when I did this right here and put the brown right here, I thought, well, I'm going to offset it a little bit. I'm not going to mat the whole thing. I only wanted the mat to be on this side, so I kind of offset it that way. And I thought, well, I should probably do some of that same offsetting type of thing with my photos over here. So you'll see that, like, this cut apart here, it's taller than what my photo mat is. It kind of goes off. So it's kind of offset there. My photos here kind of go off the edge of that photo mat. Again, the offset. Here, again, the offset. You'll see that. So it kind of helps balance all of that out, I think. And then I think one other thing you might notice on my pictures, because I didn't necessarily, want to uh, put a photo mat, between, under every single picture or every single piece. So I took my brush corduroy ink and my, blending tool, and I inked the edges of my photo. I think sometimes, not all, I'm certainly not going to ink the edges of all my photos. That wouldn't, work for many photos, but some photos it does. And for this paper, I think inking the edges of the photo worked out well. I think it gave it some definition. I think it warmed the photos up just a little bit as well, and kind of just brought your eye back into the photo. So I did that with all of those. I mean, they're just, and I love this one of them, throwing the leaves up in the air too. The colors of the fall. These are all from the sticker sheet, the pumpkin, and the leaves that I kind of tucked in there because I wanted to kind of imitate this over here and things. And then um, my photo here wasn't quite big enough for the mat that I wanted to put there. Happened to have a little bit of that stripe paper there, and I thought, well, that's going to work right there. So I put that there, and I thought, well, I need to add that stripe somewhere else. Well, I had an extra strip, so I added it right there too. So sometimes, those happy accidents where maybe have little scraps of paper sitting on your desk because you've cut it from, something else, those will work on another layout, and you can just kind of add those in. So that, I think, works out really well that way. Um, and again, my leaves, I just, um, used set number 6 on that one with a little bit of the rustic wilderness from set number 9 um, to watercolor those. And I really think I
A
love
little bit.
how they really looked on the leaves. I think they're very pretty. Uh,
So Peggy, I want
mhm,
to mention that you can,
mhm.
it's a nice way to get your oxides in
It
those little
is.
sets if you want
Uh-huh.
to show those again.
Yep.
We also have the oxides in the full size. So
Mhm.
if you have
Yep.
like favorite colors,
Mhm.
like maybe you're doing a lot of fall things and you just want to get the regular size set, they all come regular
Yes.
and mini.
Mhm. Mhm.
And Donna
Yes.
says happy accidents are the best.
They really are, and sometimes when you have that happy accident, as Tim says, sometimes that happy accident becomes a technique. And I kind of like that thought process too, that it just becomes kind of a technique, and it becomes something that you really kind of enjoy and that you like to do. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna repeat that again because I like how it looked, when I just put that down. So again, like I said, I'll show you how to watercolor the leaves, but they're again, laid down and they're stitched. So just the
They look
inside
really
are
neat. I really
stitched.
like those.
So
And if
so I
you're
really
just
like that.
joining us,
Mm-hmm.
today Peggy's here with her
Yep.
layouts,
Mm-hmm.
and she's featuring the Autumn Junk
Yep.
collection from Photoplay. And then,
Uh-huh.
can you show us the mixed media stamp and stencil set again,
Absolutely.
and tell
Absolutely.
us what number it was or
It's
is?
151
That's
that I
number,
used. The mixed media stamp was 151
and
that I
flip it over
used.
too, so
And
we
so
can
you can
see it.
see it. It's got like the 2 blueprint stamps and the stencil in there with some verbiage. But and if you like uh, the the blueprint stamps, we also have them in 2 different sizes. So we've got the full size one,
Oh, yeah, the
which were
big
the
go
original one.
big.
Yeah, go big or go home. I really love, and the acorn. I mean, can you I I just think that acorn would be beautiful, all watercolored up, all, Copic or Oloed or, oxide, whatever. And then we also have them in the smaller one.
So the
So,
one so that's the small and the
yep.
large, and then the
Mhm.
one with the stencil set is in
Yeah,
between.
it's kind of in
So if
between
you
them
want,
all.
like,
Mhm.
I personally love the blueprint designs
I do
from
too.
Tim
Mhm,
Holtz, and if
mhm.
you wanted them to get all the sizes,
Yeah.
those are what you would need.
Mhm. So yeah, I mean, all 3, they're just wonderful and very versatile. You'll see that, the way that I was able to use them on the layouts here. And then we're gonna go to the next layout. Right
Yay!
one? This one.
Peggy's done a
Uh-huh.
lot. What do you
Yeah.
have? 5
I've got
layouts?
4. 4
4
layouts
layouts
today.
today.
4 layouts today. So this one, um, again, I mean, I had a bunch of strips of paper laying on my desk.
I'm gonna just move it
Yep.
over there out of
Hmm.
that box.
Sure. So I had just a bunch of, strips of paper, and I thought, well, I kind of go back to a
So
year or so ago
cool.
when um, our friend Bonnie, she had sent us a card, and it had a lot of diagonal stripes across the front of it. And I just really loved how she was able to use a lot of, the diagonal stripe, and then use a lot of different colors and patterns. Um, in that. And I thought, well, why can't I do it on this layout? And so I thought, well, I have this. And so I'm just going to do it. And you'll see like this cut apart here and this cut apart here from the cut apart sheet.
Oh, those are those titles.
Uh-huh. So I
Good
wanted to,
idea.
let me see if I can find that paper.
Is it sitting down on the floor in your
Oh,
pile?
here it
I
is.
think that's
It's
where it
over here.
might be.
Yep, over here.
That's
So
such a good idea,
yeah.
Peggy.
So again, I had cut those apart knowing that I wanted to use them, and I just didn't know where I wanted to use them at, but they were laying on my table, and I thought, "Oh, I'm going to see how wide they are." Well, they just happened to be just as wide as what I cut my strips. And I cut my strips 5/8 of an inch. A half an inch was not quite big enough. Any more than that was going to be a little bit more. So they're 5/8 of an inch wide, each of those are. And so I thought, well, doesn't that work out great? So I could use, a couple of those because I really did like those words, and I do enjoy using the cut aparts. And I thought, well, just throwing those on there like that adds a little bit of interest to that stripe on there, and lets me put a little more verbiage in, which is what I really like to do. Um, so that's kind of how that came along. And I started with this one right here, and I went with a 45-degree stripe. And if you have a quilting ruler, that's an easy thing to do. But make your stripe whatever you want it. The angle that looks good to you. I just like that 45-degree stripe. I started with started with it in the corner and ran it down. I actually drew a line that was at 6 inches, so that I would be able to, cover half the paper with that. And then I just kind of laid my stripes out. And then I thought, well, they needed a little bit more. They needed a little more texture. So I thought, well, I'm just going to add a little bit of stitching onto them too. So not all of the
Just
lines are
random,
stitched.
kind of
So they're
random,
just
or
kind of, just like there and there, down here too. So not all of them, but just a few of them are stitched. And then, because I knew I was also going to put the stitch leaves on there. And um, and so these leaves are actually kind of a combination of set 6 and set 2. So I kind of used a combination of those 2 sets on there. I know I didn't want to get it quite as bright as what, that first layout was, but I wanted them to be a little bit darker, than that. So I kind of used a combination of those 2. I started with the antique linen and added some brown and then added some red into it. So I mean, on each of the layouts that I've shown, I think the leaves are all a different color, and that's really what I wanted to do. And on this one, I just wanted to use some family photographs. I had 49 and Market from the um, the vintage orchard. I had some of the ephemera laying around. And I thought, well, I used a little bit of um, the laser cuts from there that I had because you know those colors all match, and then I just used one of the frames from there, and you can use any of the lines from 49 and Market or whatever, you know, to do that. I just happen to have um, the vintage orchard, and
which is
so
also on special.
yes, it's on
So
special too. So that's what I had at home, and those are the things that I used. On here, you'll see the leaves and you know some of the words and things like that that you can use. And I had the frames, so I just wanted to use those. But you know, you can use any
or
frame
if
that
you
you
have a
wanted.
die, a leaf die or a frame
Um,
die or something.
I I these are laser cuts, but they can come from that. But yeah, you can use a leaf dye.
Mhm.
You can use whatever you want. You could use you know from the sticker sheet too, because there's some really pretty florals on there that you can use on there too. I think from the sticker sheet that could be used. And grab that real quick. So like, you know, if you want to use like, you know, these leaves or, you know, one of these florals, I think, you know, any of those are going to be really pretty down there too. So whatever you have, use whatever you have. Just to kind of add into that, and it's going to be pretty. And then what I did, I took just regular cardstock, the same cardstock that I used um, on the backside. What you know, it's just a natural colored cardstock is what I have. Just our kind of natural that we sell is what I used, and then I just you know backed that on the frame, and then I went back to my stencil, and I used the stencil on there to give a little bit of texture to the back side. So, you know, if you want to use like a texture paste and then add a little bit of color to it or a spritz or something like that to the back, I think that would be really pretty. I did the same thing with this little label right here. And if you ever buy any of our label sheets that we have those in a lot of different colors. You could do the same thing to that. Just use, you know, the label, add a little bit of a stencil to it, a little heart, you know, that came from the vintage orchard as well. On there because I thought, well, when I put those little boys' picture on there, I have to have a heart because I'm just so in love with that. So I mean, those eyes just get me every time. But this layout, you know, ended up being, you know, some of my favorite photos from 2023, the fall of 2023, and you know, things that I love. You know, my husband and I going on a cruise. We had such a lovely time on that cruise. Obviously, you know, pictures of the boys that I'm just gonna love. And 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 they had you know family pictures taken you know in 2023 and I just love that photo, so you know that's something that I love. We all love college football, so I had to add that. And then you know we love Linux football, my son's team, so you know a picture of him doing what he loves as well. So all of us in there and you know doing things that we love to do in the fall. And so that's kind of you know when you have photos that like I said you know aren't really you know, you don't have lots of photos that you could do a page with, but you have, you know, a photo here, a photo there that maybe have some kind of tie-in, like, you know, for me, fall. You know, you can use those all together. They don't, you don't have to limit your layout to photos from one event or one day or, you know, anything like that. Your photos don't all have to match. And I think, you know, this is kind of one of those examples of that, that you can use a variety of photos and it's going to work out well for you. So it's still cohesive and it's still you know I'm able to talk about you know things that we all love in our family. um, so you could do that with your photos. And again you know my strips right here, they were 5/8 of an inch wide. You can make them half an inch, you can make them however wide you want, but 5/8 of an inch wide. Mine happened to be 5/8 of an inch because these cutouts were 5/8 of an inch also, so they worked out just perfectly on that. But again, it's a great way to use some scraps. It's a great way to use a variety of patterns and colors, so you can kind of tie all those colors together and you know kind of go from there. And again, you know the leaves are stitched. And
Yeah, those are
I
so
really
cool.
enjoyed doing that. That was really
It
a lot
looks
of fun.
fun. It
I
looks
really
really
enjoyed
fun.
doing that. So there's that layout.
And Peggy, they would the
Mhm.
stitch leaves, they'd look good on a card
Oh, on
or a mixed
anything.
media project
Yes.
or
Uh-huh. Mhm.
maybe place
Mhm.
cards if you're going to do maybe
Yep.
place cards for.
Because the one thing about it is, even though my leaves are stitched onto the layout, you don't have to stitch them onto the paper. You can just do the stitching by itself and then, put them on top of something. So you can stitch them and then put them on a layout or a card or a project. So like if you have a mixed media project, you can stitch the leaves first and then put them on, because sometimes with the mixed media projects, it's kind of hard to stitch afterwards. So you can do the stitching before or after. It doesn't matter if you want to do that. Now, I just stitched the veins of the stamp, and you'll see like on my stamped image, I just followed the lines of the main lines of it. I didn't go all the way around. That would have been a whole lot of work. I just did the inside, and that just popped it up enough that gave it that texture. And I think that's really kind of what I wanted, for a fall layout, was texture in that. Um, so there's that one. This
Did you
one,
show these already?
not yet,
Okay.
not yet.
Oh.
This one right here, I don't have stitched leaves on it, but I did
Yeah, you
stamp
need, can you
the
show that up
leaf.
close?
So let me bring that up a little bit. You can see where I stamped
Yeah,
the
that's
leaves.
neat.
So not only did I layer the tags, from that tag sheet, but some of those tags were just a little bit, more plain, which I wanted. I wanted, some of those neutral types of things on there. And so that was when I decided, well, if I have that, then I'm going to stitch right on it. And that way I could add a little more texture onto that. So that was what I did. And what I did, I just took, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4,
Seven?
six of the
Oh,
six
six?
of the tags that I cut out, and laid those out. And I started with my middle one, like in the middle,
That was going to be
and
my
just kind of
question, is how you started.
laid those across. And I knew that, in order to balance it out, I didn't want like 3 and 3. I wanted this one, straight down the middle. So I knew that I was going to have to cut one of them in half. So this is the one that I cut in half, and then just put, one half on either side.
Yeah,
So
that
that
turned out
balances it
good.
out, and kind of just, staggered them and overlapped them a little bit here and there. I just really liked kind of the way it looked. Now, you'll see that, my tags are coming down. If you'd rather, the layout works this way too. You can have the tags coming up,
Just flip
and just flip
everything.
it around.
Yeah, that's a good
You
idea.
can go from the side if you want to. I mean, it's versatile enough. The design is versatile enough that you could do it, you know, all 4 sides. So you can go any direction you want. I just happen to go this way. And then rather than put, um, ribbon or, tie a bow or something like that, because, in Bow Challenge, in each of the holes of the tags, I saw that,
Oh, yeah.
these decorative brads. And okay, I was a little surprised when I opened this up, because I thought, brads that aren't brads, they're going to be the adhesive ones. You
Are
know
they
what?
real
They're
brads?
not.
They're
They're
real
real
brads?
brads. They are real brads.
And that's from what
That's from Echo
collection?
Park, from the autumn collection of Echo Park. Let me,
It's autumn. It's
yeah,
from It's
from
Autumn.
It's Autumn.
Peggy, I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
they're real brads, which really kind of surprised me when I first opened up the package. And here, I'll open up my package.
And it doesn't say anything on here about stickers.
No,
So
no, it doesn't. It says decorative brads. And I thought, oh, that's kind of interesting, especially the way they kind of put that on there. Well, look at that. You open it up, there are the brads. They are all brads. So I really kind of like that, actually, because I have always liked brads. And so I was really kind of surprised. So then I mean, they look the same as the adhesive brads, but they're real brads. So when you get that package and you open it up, don't be surprised like I was. But they're so pretty. And I love the fact that, they're Echo Park, but they go with this line. And I just kind of, this one is a little bit bigger than these other 4. And I wanted the bigger one here, and then kind of match those up on the way out. And then I took just, some twine and kind of looped it around, and I used my liquid glue to kind of hold it in place and kind of looped it around just to give me some texture and, some flow across the page. And then I used the stencil again. I wanted to do that, so I used the circles here, and laid those down. And I did a little bit across there and a little bit across here because I knew I was going to have pictures across the middle, but I just needed to kind of fill that area in a little bit. And then after that, I thought, well, it needs just a little more color to it. I kind of wanted to bring this red into it too, because I knew that I was going to use pictures from a trip that I recently took to Red Rocks in Colorado. And I knew I wanted to use a little bit more of that red in there. So I just, the crackling campfire, I just, put a little bit of that on my little stamp block and spritzed it a little bit, and then used my um, what's this called? I can't even think of it. It is called a splatter brush, and I use that kind of splatter all the way around it. So I was able to add a little bit of that red color into it, without, without it being too much. But I wanted to add a little bit there because I've got it up here. I have it, in the tags and things. So I wanted to kind of include it in that. And then just to kind of balance this out, because this is pretty big. And again, you don't have to use them this big either. You can cut them down so they're shorter if you have more pictures that you want to use them
Yeah,
in
that's a
here.
good point.
You can shorten that up. But
We have a couple of questions,
yeah. Mhm.
Peggy. Um, well, Diana just made a comment, you can cut the brad pieces off,
Oh,
which you
mhm,
can,
yeah, you can do that.
and
And
then
then
just
put
glue
glue
them. And
dots.
then
Yep,
Rose wants to know, what did you do to the back of the brads?
right
Oh, you
there.
just folded them.
Yep,
There we go.
just fold them. And what I usually do, what I have found helps, secure them pretty well, make sure that, they're down nice and solid, is when I put them through, and spread out the prongs and kind of press those down, I'll come back to the front and I will, with my thumb, just kind of press it down. And sometimes you can feel that little pop or a little bit of pressure as those brads really flatten out and become really tight. They don't move or anything like that. So that works out really well that way. Um, and in back in the old days, we didn't have the adhesive brads, and I think I got used to those, and I really love the adhesive brads. But we don't. And companies still make that. So that's why I was so surprised when I got these and they were actually really brads. I was kind of excited about it too. So I really did enjoy that. So I did that again, stencil through here, splatter with my brush. Um, this right here that I used up here is just from the cut apart sheet that I put down here. No, it isn't. It's from this one.
Now, I want to make a comment, Peggy, while you're
This one.
looking for
Hmm.
that. We've had our fall on sale this
Hmm.
week,
Yeah.
and we have sold out of the autumn junk
Oh no.
collection pack. Um, we can get more in if you'd like one. They won't be on sale, and we do have the individual papers, and I
Hmm.
assume we
Yeah.
still have the stickers and
Yes.
the ephemera.
Uh-huh.
I'm not out on the floor, so I'm not
Yep.
sure, but
Hmm. We
um,
do have the papers and the sticker sheets. So yes,
if
we
they're
have that.
still in stock,
Hmm.
so
Yep.
hopefully we have those.
Yep. Hmm.
So
Yep.
I
We do have those.
apologize for that.
Hmm. But I just cut that off because I had used parts of this paper already. Um, it was that nice little um, red viney. So I'd used part of it already, and I had this laying there, and I thought, well, that's going to work well as a journal spot on my layout. So I just cut that off and, put it right up there. I could have, put it anywhere else, but I just thought it went really well up there. I really like the stripe in that because it kind of goes with the stripe up here, and it still looks like I've maybe just taped that down. So I really like that. And so then I have, my photos from tailgating before a concert, and because that's what we do before a concert, right? And then I use, those strips again. I was able to cut into those. So I have the strip, this stripe again to kind of mimic this up here and to bring in, the other stripe. And I did that. And then I also thought, well, I'm going to try this. And I just, because I still had, when I had splattered my little red here. I still had a bunch of that, so I just took my brush and kind of brushed a little there just to give it a little bit of color. Not that it makes a big difference in the
And
layout,
Peggy,
but
can you, after you show
let's
that,
see.
can you flip that over
Let's see.
again?
Yeah.
Because Sandy had a
Oh,
suggestion that she
uh-huh.
puts tape over the back of the
Mm-hmm.
Brad backs,
Mm-hmm.
and then it makes it easier to get in the page
Yeah.
protector. So thank you. We really
Mm-hmm.
appreciate that
No,
tip.
I do the same with my stitching to secure down my loose ends. I put a little bit of washi tape there to secure that, and that too does help slide
Good
in.
tip.
So yeah, that's a great tip to put to put tape behind there. Then it doesn't get hooked on things too. I think that's a great idea. I really like that. So there's layout number 4, and now I think we might have just enough time. I'm going to show you how I watercolored one of these leaves here. So I'm going to just bring this up here because I don't want to get ink on our beautiful studio table. Let's see.
Here, do you need some help getting
There we
stuff
go.
out of the way? While Peggy's
Slide that.
doing this,
Mhm.
I'll just remind everybody
Yeah.
that our fall collections, everything in our fall area, is 30% off
Mhm.
through Sunday. It's our weekly special, and it's our way of welcoming fall.
Okay, what did I do with my little...
And Kathy's asking about World Fussy Cutting Day, and
Mhm.
we do have plans
Yeah.
for World Fussy Cutting. Janet's going to be doing a video on fussy cutting with tips and tricks.
Mhm.
And we have some fussy cutting sheets that have been provided by, I guess, the fussy cutting world.
Mhm.
And we'll make those available to you to download. And we
Yeah.
also have a craft along where we're getting us
Oh,
jump
fun.
start on Christmas cards on that day.
Oh, that'll be so much
So
fun.
check it out on our
Yes, I
calendar.
love that. So what I did, you may have seen, I just took my little uh, cube, antique linen,
Antique linen, okay.
and I am just, and I'm not even being neat about it,
So
to tell you the
she's
truth,
using
because
a
I'm
water
going to,
brush.
a water brush.
And we have lots of water
Mhm.
brushes that you can check out here at Memory Bound. They're
Mhm,
handy
mhm.
because you don't need a pack of water. You don't
No,
need a cup
the
of water.
water is
It's
already
already
there.
in there.
Hmm. And so what I just did was just kind of go over the entire leaf with the antique linen. And that was kind of what I did. So I'm just going to do this one.
So you did that to start with, and then do you let it dry then before you do more?
I just go right on top. I'm an impatient watercolorer.
Okay.
I'm just a little impatient when it comes to watercoloring. So then I'm just going to wipe that off. Nice thing about these mats, they're just wonderful that way. So I'm going to do that, and I'm actually going to use.
Yeah. What other colors are you going to
I'm
use?
going to use from
I'm curious
number
about
6
this.
from this
Kind of the
one, because
browns.
I just really like the browns, and so I'm just going to kind of go down.
Okay. Are you going to use all the colors?
Probably not the black.
So you've got vintage photo and walnut stain. That's exactly what I used last night on my project.
So I'm going to use these, and then I'm going to throw a little bit of red in there too. So, so yeah, you just put a little bit down there. You don't even have, if you have the water brush, you don't even have to spritz it or anything like that. You just put your brush in there, and then I'm just going to go kind of along the veins. And like I said, it's not rocket science or anything like that. You don't even have to be neat. The one thing I like about these stamps also is where they have like the I shouldn't say highlights, where they have like the little hatch marks, where it's supposed to be darker to shade. That kind of tells you where you need to where the sun is shining on them, so you need to make it a little bit darker, a little more vibrant. And so I just kind of go over those areas as well.
Well, Rhonda says watercoloring is forgiving.
Very,
a forgiving way to color outside the lines.
Yes,
Because it doesn't need to be perfect.
No, it does not, and I am not. I am far from that. Let me tell you.
And Janet just linked our water brush options. So if you're interested in getting a water brush, there's different tip sizes, and you just unscrew the barrel and fill it with water. I just filled one up last night. I have not watercolored with the oxides. I've only watercolored with the regular distress inks. And sometimes if I don't have a mat, I just use a stamping block.
Yeah, that's what I usually use too. I've got one of these at home too, but sometimes I just grab my stamping block.
Yeah, they're easy
to do that. Yeah,
although it cleans up easy.
So that was the vintage photo.
And now you got walnut stain.
Now I got walnut stain.
I think the colors look different in the oxides.
They do.
Than they do in the regular distress.
Yeah, I do too. And myself a
It's
little more
looking
water.
good, Peggy.
And, you know, with the water brush, if you need just, and you can kind of see that chalkiness of it. Let's see if I can,
Let me focus it a little
okay,
bit.
of the oxide. You
There
can
it
kind of
is.
see that
Yeah.
chalkiness of it right there when I went over, you know, wet over wet. You can kind of
When
see
you
that.
had the idea to fussy cut those,
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm sorry. We should probably get closer while you're coloring.
Oh,
So I'm
you can do
sorry,
that. That's
guys.
fine.
I just realized this, and now I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
bop Peggy in the head
And again, I'm going to, you know,
like
kind of
little
go
bunny
over
foo
this
foo.
with, no one's ever called me a little bunny.
Well, I said like little bunny foo foo. I don't know why. You know how they little bunny foo foo hopping through the forest.
Oh gosh,
Your daughter
so,
had to have
oh, Barney,
watched that.
Barney the purple dinosaur. Yes, we watched it all the time. And again, like, you know, I mean, I got that a little dark, so I'm just going to kind of come through that. But yeah, I mean, it is very
It
forgiving
looks
when you
amazing,
do it. So, you know, just
and it
a
looks
little bit of
easy, and it's
it is.
relaxing.
You know what? I, you know, I kudos to Penny and everybody else that can color with Copics. I don't have that talent. I struggle with that, but I found that I could really do this, and I enjoyed it. And so I just kind of like this one. So I'm going to add just a little bit of red to it because I think it needs just a
Yeah,
little
I'm
bit of
anxious
extra
to see
color to
that.
it. I'm going to add a little red, and I'm going to add maybe I might add a little bit of green too. There you go. So
Oh, and a little green
I
too.
might do
Now
that.
you could use watercolor paper. Peggy's
Yes.
just using cardstock,
Yeah,
but
because I knew I was going to put it on my layouts, you know, and that's what I had. So that's what I used. I'm just going to come like right, just a little bit. You don't want a whole lot. You just want to add a little
Peggy,
bit of
everybody's
color
loving
to it.
today's video. I
Just a
just want
little
you to
bit.
know that.
Well, thank you. I really enjoyed doing it, and I mean, I think I'm going to use a lot more stamps and watercoloring on layouts because I just really enjoyed doing this. This was just a lot of fun. And like I said, you know, you can see I don't color inside the line very often. I go out, but I know that I'm also going to, you know, be fussy cutting this a little bit.
It
So
also
I'm okay
looks
with that.
okay with watercolor, I think, if
Yeah.
it's not perfect.
Yeah. And I mean, look how you can layer color.
So what red color are you
This
adding?
is, I think this is a crackle campfire. Is that a crackling campfire?
Crackling campfire, which is an
Is what I
orangey
use.
red,
Yeah.
which is
Hmm.
perfect for
Yeah. For
fall and
fall.
leaves.
Throw that out there a little bit. To there.
See,
And I mean, I'm going to cut that
this
so
is
it doesn't
probably
matter
people
that
are
it's
going
out
to
there.
say, I could sit and watch Peggy
Listen,
watercolor all day long.
I kind of learned some of this from Maggie too. And then I'm going to take a little bit of my rustic wilderness. Yeah, I think so. So I like that green.
And then maybe we could, well, when I'll take a picture, we'll take pictures of all of this, everybody.
And then this is just really going to go on the inside of the leaf because if you look at the leaves as they turn, they stay green on the inside longer than they do on the outside. So this is just going to stay right in there. And look at that, done.
Oh, wow. You're going to have to hold it up close so we can get a really good look at it. And I'll focus. Oh, there we go. Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
And now I would let it dry. And then I fussy cut it after I let it dry. But then the next thing that I did, and one thing I really liked, and I'm actually going to do it while it's wet, just because for time's sake. But I took then my ink,
Your brush corduroy?
my brush
and what
corduroy,
did you do with it?
and then I just kind of went around the edges of it.
Oh, so when you fussy cut, you have that kind of brownish.
Yeah. So just
Good
adding
idea.
another layer, you know, to it. So there it is.
And you don't have to fussy cut these. You could
No.
stamp right on your layout.
You absolutely can. You can stamp right on your layout and, you know, color it right on there. But yeah, so then, you know, you would fussy cut it and
you're going to fussy. Okay. And
I don't know if we have time for
we're
it.
we can
I'll do
fussy
this
cut
really quick.
because fussy cutting
is coming up. And I'm maybe not, you know, the world's best fussy cutter, but
well, everybody's loving it. Val says it's therapeutic watching you color. and Sandy said beautiful. And
I enjoyed
we got a
doing
comment. I
watercolor.
love Peggy days. I always learn something.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, so
I
you
like
know,
fussy cutting too. I'm anxious for fussy cutting day.
I am
We've
too.
got some things
I
planned
used
up.
to just hate fussy cutting. I thought, oh, I don't
Really?
want to do it. I just don't want to do it because I didn't think I was very good at it. You know, but
Well, you
then the
don't
more
have
you
to
do
be
it, the
super.
better you get at it. And the one thing I learned, sharp scissors are a must. And um, and turning your paper into your scissors, I think makes a big difference too.
Right.
I
I
think that
agree.
makes a world of difference when it comes to fussy cutting, is if you turn your paper into your scissors. And that really helps a lot. And keep going here. But you know, I did, you know, a couple of these with each of the on each of the layouts, and color them differently each time, and just kind of played with color and experimented, you know, with the different color combinations, and decided that, you know, I liked them all.
Of
And
course.
I'm probably going to have to get, you know, a couple more sets. And you know, we have the nice little container for the minis, which is wonderful. I bought all 4 sets, and I thought, well, I should probably buy the container now too, you know, so to store
I've
them.
got
And
the
I just
containers
really
too.
like it. I know when I watched, you know, Tim's video on his last release, he put the oxides and the inks, the coordinating ones, side by side in his little
Oh, is that how he
tins.
did it?
Yeah, so
Okay.
he'd have like the ink and the oxide, the ink and the oxide, the ink and I thought, oh, I don't know. So I just have oxides in mine, and I'm okay with that. But then I don't have, you know, I have a lot of the mini inks too, but I don't know if I have all the ones that coordinate. So
So we have
I
a
just
couple
do that.
comments.
Mm-hmm.
Val said she thought fussy cutting was every day. It is for people that
Uh-huh.
love fussy cutters,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Donna thought it was a great idea to ink around the edges.
Yeah. I just think it just gave it one more layer of color and dimension. And that's what I really liked about it. And it kind of helped finish it off, you know, the edges on them too, you
And
know.
Rhonda has a comment
Mm-hmm.
about fussy cutting, and Fussy Cutting Day is October 25th,
Mm-hmm.
is World Fussy Cutting Day,
Yep.
and it's to come together and craft together and to celebrate um, the life of Sharon, who owned Buffalo Stamps in Buffalo, New York,
Mm-hmm.
who passed away from an unexpected heart attack,
Yep.
and to also um, bring us together to think about women's heart health, because
Mm-hmm.
many of us, we don't always take care of ourselves.
No, and you know,
So it's
and
got lots of good reasons.
women's heart issues present themselves differently than than men's sometimes.
Right.
You know, we as women, we don't necessarily get, you know, the chest pain, or we will maybe get pain in our stomach, you know, and of course the pain in the back too. But it doesn't necessarily, you know, it's not necessarily in the
There
chest.
is a Facebook page that
Mm-hmm.
you can join for
Yeah.
World Fussy Cutting Day if you
Mm-hmm.
want to join that. And then the size of scissors, comment by Rhonda
Mm-hmm.
is absolutely true. And
Yep.
Peggy, you're using smaller
I use
scissors.
smaller scissors, and
So
I'm putting a
smaller
little bit
scissors are a little bit better.
more ink around the edges on the of the
And Janet
ends of it.
commented about using the bottom of the blade and not the
Mm-hmm.
tip. And Rose says your leaf looks real. So
It
after
does.
she inks it a
Mm-hmm.
little bit, we'll have her
Here we go.
pull it up to the camera so you can really get a good look at it.
So I'm going to put it right on here. Put it on the back side. So there it is.
Let's see if I
And
get a focus.
you know, I mean, when you get to layer those colors on there, and
it's
then
really
you know,
cool.
with the ink,
That does look real.
you do it gives it that dimension. It gives it, you know, that those. And I keep using the word layers because I think that's what it really shows. It just kind of, I don't know. I just really had fun with it. Now I might want to add just a little more green through the middle there, just because I think it maybe dulled out just a tish. But I might do that if I can find my brush. And I'm just going to take it right off of here.
then Peggy, as we're wrapping up, I thought
Mhm.
maybe you could give a close-up look of
Yeah.
these leaves that you did the
Mhm.
same
Yeah.
process with
Mhm.
different colors of ink.
Yeah. So, I just added a little more green, and I think that kinda
And
livened it up just a
Heidi wants
tish.
to know if you stitched before you fussy cut it or after.
After.
Good,
I
good
The
question.
stitching came after. The stitching came after I put it on, after I put the, um, leaves on my layouts. So I fussy cut everything first and then went from there. So here on this one was done just with set number 2. So it's this set that I used on
So
this
it's
one.
more oranges,
Yep.
your yellows
So
and
you get the yellows
oranges.
and oranges in there. So that was the set that I had. But I picked this set first because I thought it just went so well
Yeah, with the autumn
with this
junk
collection. It was just
or
so pretty.
fall in
Yeah.
general, really.
It's and again, it's number 2. I think there's another set
There's
that came
another
this time
set
that's real
that's
similar to
very
that.
similar, and I'll
Mhm.
grab it so we
And
can
then I
show
thought,
people.
well, on this one, I still wanted to use, some of that orange in there, but then I also bought um, set number 6. Oh, it's this one, I guess. So I wanted to use some of the orange, but I also had set number 6. And that was when I started to kind of start with the antique linen so that I'd have that kind of base and then add, the different colors from that. And that was kind of more of what I showed today was, this set and these leaves. And then I thought, well, I need another color in there. That was when I saw, the leaves had green in them. And so then I thought, well, now I need set number 9 because I've got to bring some green into it. And I think on this one I may have used evergreen bough because it's just a
It
little
looks a
bit
little
bluey,
kind of bluey.
So I use that in there too, along with set number 6. So that's what I used there. I did use some of the red, for the pumpkins. I used all 3 of them on this one.
Oh, I
So,
forgot about you
mhm,
coloring the other
yeah.
things.
So on the pumpkins and these leaves too. So, and
Peggy,
those are all fussy cut, put down on the layout, and then stitched. So you can see my stitching lines there.
oh, so you stitched after you put them on the
Yep.
layout. Got it.
Yep.
Got it. Peggy, here's a newer set. It's number
Oh,
8, and it
yes.
also is pretty good for fall colors.
Yes. I really like.
They're
I
just a
like.
little faded out, a little
Yeah. I
bit less
think that dry
saturated.
marigold would be really pretty. To use in place of the antique linen.
Oh,
I
true.
think
Yeah.
to base it. I think that would be really pretty. These would all also. I mean, you can't go wrong. Whatever color you use, you can't go wrong. They're just so pretty,
And
and
and Peggy,
they're
Janet
gorgeous,
is going to
gorgeous.
link your stitching videos that you've done in the
Oh,
past.
okay, okay.
She's linking
Mhm,
that so people can
mhm.
find those
Yep.
easily.
Mhm.
And they want to know if Rhonda would like to know if you used a piercing tool or just the needle.
Absolutely. I used a piercing tool, and I thought I brought
I
one
don't
of
think
those
there's one
things.
over
Oh,
here.
maybe not. I used the.
We
Yes,
have
I
the
did.
Tim
Haha.
Holtz craft.
Right
There
here.
it is.
There. This is what I use. Right here is what I use. I use the piercing tool. I use the Tim Holtz ruler or any ruler that has like 1/8 inch marks on it because your stitches are about 1/8 of an inch apart. And then you use a tapestry needle. And we have some needles here. We have this set of needles, and we have another set that's a Singer set that has quite a few different size needles in there. But I just use a tapestry needle. Use whatever size you're comfortable with. I wouldn't say use the real thick one or the real fine. The real fine one is going to be harder. Kind of a medium-sized one is what I would use as I stitch. I use 3 strands of thread, and I usually use DMC floss. So I use 3 strands of the DMC floss. It's 6 strands. So divide that up. 3 and 3. And then because I think it lays nice and flat that way and still gives you that dimension. And then the piercing tool to make those holes. And you want to make the holes before you start stitching, otherwise you're going to tear your paper as you come up and down with your needle. So use that first. I have some foam that I put underneath as I create the holes, but if Janet's going to link those stitching
She
videos, you'll
did.
see
She
that.
linked
So
so there's a
mhm,
whole
yep,
video, maybe
hmm
2,
yep,
where Peggy shows you how to do the
hmm
stitching. And
yeah,
you can go out to our blog and it's out there and
hmm
Janet linked it.
yep.
So,
So
all
there you
right. Well,
go.
Peggy, I'm going to switch the camera around. We're going to go
Okay.
back so we can see
All
you.
right, I'm gonna move that out of
Yeah,
my
get
face.
that out
So
of your
yeah,
face. I had it pretty close there.
yeah.
Thank you so much,
You're very
Peggy.
welcome. Very welcome.
People are pretty excited about this.
Mhm.
I really love it when you come because we have beautiful layouts and perfect
Well,
for the
thank you
first
so
week of
much.
fall,
Thank you. Hmm.
and the use
This
of
this
the
paper collection was wonderful to
it
use.
is.
Hmm.
It's really
It
pretty. We
just,
love all the junk,
yeah,
but the fall
we
is
do.
extra
The fall is
beautiful.
really pretty.
And
Hmm.
it's actually the newest junk
Yes.
collection from
Uh-huh.
Photoplay.
Yep, it is. Hmm.
And
Hmm.
just looking to see if we have any other
And
questions.
again, fall themes are 30% off this week. So
Yes.
um,
Yeah, we want,
use
here's
that,
the visual
and
for
yep,
everybody.
there you go. Hmm.
There's the visual.
Yep, for this week. So,
So through
hmm,
Sunday, our fall items are on
yep.
sale. And I
Hmm.
hope you come and join us tomorrow. We have
Yes.
new
Lay out
collections
one.
arriving
Oh, yes, we do.
constantly.
Yes.
And tomorrow we're going to
Lay out
spend the
two.
morning showing you all the new Echo Park and Cartabella that
Lay
came
out
in.
three. And lay out number four.
And Rhonda says
I
she
got it right.
appreciates showing layouts. She has lots
Hmm.
of pictures
Yep.
to put on pages. And Barbara says
Hmm.
she loved it all.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for being here with us, every day. We love hanging out with everybody. So thank you so much.
Everybody have a crafty day, and we'll
Yes.
be back
Hmm.
tomorrow. We'll see you then,
Yeah. We'll
everyone.
see you. Thank you.